I'm going to recap SPLG and Tesla and then show you what is happening with 3M on the 5-minute time frame. First up, SPLG. We ended the day at $51.27, up more than 1%. To the north side from where we are takes us to roughly 51.32. At 3 standard deviations, that is about 51.48. Note the gap that forms to the upside at 51.50. 51.64, and that gap closes out at 51.81. To the south side, back to the middle of the trend, takes us to 51.01. 50.69. 50.53. And finally, at -4 standard deviations is roughly $50.38. Now, previously I talked about a gap to the upside that fills out at 51.27, and note today's ending 51.27, and that gap is now complete. Let me move that over to right about there, and let me show you the RSI. I do anticipate this to sell off tomorrow as people take their profits and they run, but over time, see some consolidation for another leg up because of these open gaps here. Now, let me show you the RSI. It is going down, and we are at 50 right now, but anytime we hit this critical level at 70, I do anticipate a pullback. This is overbought. People are taking their profits and they're running right along this zone. And then over here, this is resistance, 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 a sell, sell, sell area. And down here, a buy, buy, buy area. But obviously, if you are investing, you just let it ride. All right, the next one is Tesla. Let me show you where we ended. I talked about this when it was $245. I pointed out that we were sitting at support, or at least one level of support, and anticipated a bounce, and that's exactly what happened today. So we ended the day at right here, 250.21, up nearly 4%. To the north side from where we are takes us to 3 standard deviations, and that is 253.78. 257.50, a gap forms to the upside at roughly 261.86, closes out at roughly 264.13. Now, to the south side, back at the middle of the trend, takes us to roughly 242.58. A gap closes out here at 234.98, which I talked about. Well, actually, that is a gap that formed all the way back here that I talked about on the 8th. Okay, so if we go to the south side, I do anticipate that to close out. If we go to the south side, within the range here that we're playing, in this range, this range right here, within 2 standard deviations and -2 standard deviations. But this gap forms to the south side starting at roughly 246.34, closes out at -2 standard deviations, basically at 234.98. All right, and -3 standard deviations is 231.53, and then 227.86. I pointed out these 2 gaps as well to the south side, and then one down here that we're not close to yet. But that's just something to keep in mind. And note, looking back, this zone right here almost hit resistance and started to sell off. Found some support, bounced, fell down again, hit support down here, and started bouncing and consolidating. And now we are all the way back up here. And the next one I'm going to go over is 3M. We ended the day at $98.26, down more than 2%. To the north side from where we are takes us back to -2 standard deviations. We're very close there. And that is 98.35. The middle of the trend takes us to roughly 99.53-ish. A gap forms to the upside at roughly 99.91, ends at roughly $100.32. Two standard deviations is $100.69, 101.26, and 101.83. A gap forms to the upside at 102.93 roughly, closes out at roughly 104.41. Now to the south side, we have a gap here that will close out at roughly, or begins at roughly 96.21, closes out at roughly 94.27, and then this green box that I marked out really will end to the north side from here. It never got along this line, but that will close out at roughly 95.74 to about 95.14. I'll just move that. But when this gap closes out, that will encompass this gap here. Let me see the RSI. We are at 26. I anticipate a dip by and this going up, because this is the zone where people like to scoop up stocks. This is oversold. This is overbought right here. This is the buy-in area typically, and then the sell-off area if you're playing the RSI at 30 and 70, which I like to look at. Oh, I do want to show this to you on the monthly time frame. Show you very quickly. I've talked about this stock many times in the past. Oh, right. Note the RSI on the monthly time frame. We are just leaving the oversold zone right here. Let me just mark this out perfectly so that way, oops, I have a nice line. So we are at 32 and it is going up. This stock has been beaten in the past. Lots of things are going on with it, but this hopefully is the bottom. But look at that right here. In 09, we hit 23 and then started to go up and then back down. So hopefully the pattern will repeat itself. So on the monthly time frame, we are sitting, it's hard to see with all my markings, but we are sitting right about there. So -3 standard deviations is about 101.01. To the south side of that, we are looking at 73.76. Hopefully we will not go that low. But to the north side of that, 129.15 and 185.46. The 1-year price target is roughly 109.87. So 109.87 takes us right about there. Yeah, that's very doable. And again, the RSI is starting to curl up, so that is a good sign. All right, that does it for me. Thank you to Murat for pointing out SPLG, and I definitely will be tracking this. And here's a look at SPLG on the monthly time frame. All right, that does it for me. Thank you so much for watching.